Right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Being a Man. Today, we have got a very scintillating personality, a very famous upcoming TV star, and is famous, and his persona is very much familiar in Indian TV shows and to you all. So, let me introduce you today's our guest, Mr. Akshay Dogra. Welcome you, Mr. Akshay Dogra, to our talk show, Be a Man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, first of all, it's a great pleasure to have you today. And thanks for accepting our request and giving us time to share and being a part of this talk show. So, before we starting talking about your career, and I would like to ask you about your initial childhood journey. What were the experiences when you grew up, and what exactly you had in your early childhood, some instances or maybe some stories?
So, you know, we I grew up in a world where there was hardly any television, and I grew up in a world where there was no phone. There were no phones. Like there were phones, but the landlines, and you had to like pick up the phone. Hello, meri awaaz aa rahi. That those times when the STD calls were like it was too long distance and all of that. So I grew up in those times, and so when you grow up in those times when there's nothing else to do, that when DD comes on at around 6 o'clock, Krishi Darshan comes in, the first ever show that comes in, and you watch that also with great interest, which was absolutely, I think, boring. But when you're born in those times, you tend to have a little more imagination. You don't know the word bored. I'm bored, like which we very frequently use now. I'm so bored, man. I don't know what to do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but growing up in those times, there was no such thing as I'm bored. Like I don't ever remember saying, but I'm bored. What do I do? Because you got up, you either read or you went out to play, and that's it, and that was
Right.
it. Your imagination ran wild. You did things. So I've had like the most amazing time, and it was a time when things hadn't opened up so much, so there was more a lot of I grew up in Delhi, so there was a lot of greenery.
Mhm.
So I remember, I think my childhood till my at least till before I hit my teens was a
Mhm.
very Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer kind of a childhood, always around like green landscapes where we're having our adventures and thinking
Mhm.
uh, various things, like imagining like the sun mica stones. We used to think if we rub it, a genie would come out and would grant us wishes. So we'd like sit and just rub it, and like
I
we
think
do those
ये
kind.
तो मेरे को आपने मेरा मेरा बचपन भी थोड़ा सा याद दिला दिया है.
I think it's all of us who grew up in the 80s and little early 90s, just that much. I think just before cable TV came in, just before GEC, all the ZTVs and all of that came in. Just before that, life
Right.
was very simple. It was very, very, we had imagination running wild all across, all sorts
Right.
of things. So that I think, uh, you know, with that kind of a childhood, you end up keeping that magic alive in you.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
it helps a lot.
Yeah, that is I think in some sort of way when you're talking about having no other way to spend time, but even you are spending time by creating something, by getting some ideas or being imaginary. And a part of that, the interesting part, even the once show is coming on TV, you are seeing that, and you are like, whether you like or dislike. But do you find such kind of, when we are watching and you get into so much, like you start, I have noticed myself, like they used to act same way many times. Even my siblings and all, they used to try to act in the same way and mimic in the same way what they were watching, isn't it?
Yeah,
What do you find that?
yeah, yeah. That's that used to happen. And I mean, I just feel all in all, you sometimes I think about it a lot of times that nowadays we are so dependent on our phones and on technology. We end up. You there? Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's breaking a bit.
Oh, I don't, from my
Okay,
side,
great.
it is coming.
All right.
It is coming.
So, okay, great. No problem. So, with technology, what happens is we're so dependent on it that I miss those times, absolutely. Like, I wish I could go back to, like, I really, sometimes nowadays, I'm dreaming of just, renouncing everything and becoming a monk. And this, like, you're owning a Nokia 3110 and like the keypad phone and not being part of technology. But then it has its ups and pros and cons also. So it has its pros, like you get
Yeah.
to connect with people globally. So you just have to balance it out on your own.
Yeah, that's so true. So when we are talking about your artist, your especially your childhood experiences and journey, would you like to share with us that impacted you deeply in your life and further in your career path?
So I never in my life thought that I'd be in the creative field. So I till my 12th standard was just like every other kid who was part of the herd,
Right.
just like blindly. During our time, the only professions that one could seek out were doctor, lawyer, engineer, and business. So, business was added to it later. Little, by the time I graduated, like by 99, I graduated, got out of school. So, MBA was also the in thing at that point of time. Otherwise, it was engineer, doctor, and lawyer. And accountant if you're good at math and, all those other things. So, these are the only things. And so, till the 12th, that's how it was. Like, whatever everybody did, whatever we were told, whatever, things have changed so much nowadays. Like children are so much more, their mindset and mind view, their experience of life is so much more wider than ours. It
Right.
was so shut for us. So I knew nothing about my life. Like I just thought that things will happen and I will have a regular life and I will do that. It's just that like post the 12th standard, I always attribute this to my wife. I fell in love. At that time we were school friends and we met each other during that and I fell in love with her. And we stayed friends for 5 years. She wasn't interested in a relationship with me. But because of that, there are two things that like I can do. Like one is that he becomes like a Devdas, which is typical Indian. That yeah, I don't have the girl, so I'm like. And the other thing is like I sort of drown my pain in reading. I started reading a lot. I started listening to music. I started writing a lot. That's when it happened. That's when the shift happened. That's when my interest in the creative field started blossoming a lot more. So, I mean, I attributed a lot to falling in love. And that changed like, it was as though I was born again post the 12th standard. Like, when I was like 17, 18, my first 17 years of life was like a blur. It was just do whatever everybody else is doing. And then suddenly,
Right.
like, I fell in love and then everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
So love is a driving force, like very, very important. Love, in all the important things that have happened in my life, love has been a driving force
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, that's very interesting share because as how it gave you all the way new path, new direction, and as you mentioned, in a very unique and new life, which is very interesting. So, Mr. Akshay, you as we can see, you are very famous celebrity these days, and we can see you in many soap operas. Can you share with our audience about your career journey? You shared a little bit as your how it started, and the TV serials you have done or doing so far.
So,
Most of they know about you, but as we are going to broadcast on global, so that's why we are interested to share about your shows globally. Yeah, please.
Right, right, right. So I didn't start out as an actor. I was behind the camera for quite some time. I started my journey in 2002 when I was behind the camera till about 2008, and it was just happenstance that I ran into somebody who was taking auditions for a particular show at that time, and they asked me if I was an actor, and I just happened to say that yes, I am. And I ended up giving the audition, and I ended up getting that part as
Wow.
well. So I mean, I guess destiny, luck, whatever it is, the intermingling of, I don't know, positions of, how things are supposed to happen for one, uh, happened, and I ended up becoming an actor, and then there was no looking back from there. I did a lot of television till about, for 10 years I did television, but 2018 I quit television. Uh, I did a few shows. I had my downs and my minute ups. So television is such a place where, you, unless your industry itself doesn't look at you as a successful actor, you're just a character actor and you're just an actor and you're replaceable. So I think it was the same thing with me. Mainly like, one of my most one of the shows that is the most popular show amongst all of my shows is Pyar Ko Kya Naam Hai, which I don't even consider it as my show. Like, I found the people that I'm still friends with. I found the people that I still agree with in terms of when I speak to them and we hang out together and we're like family. But as far as work is concerned, I don't consider that show as I consider that show as the bottom of the pile in my own journey as an actor.
Right.
But it was important in that period because that was the period where I became a little stubborn about the fact that I want people to see that I can act too. Because it was a show where people were just in love with the two main leads, and nobody else mattered. And so I was like, I don't want to be a part of any other story where my character doesn't matter. Like, in my character could be replaced. And so, what I did post that, the shows that I took up, the characters that I took up post that, were a conscious decision to move away from Is Pyar Wo Kya Naam Hai completely. And that played on my psyche. And I think it helped me grow as an actor too, and also made me understand a few things about myself also. It was a psychological journey that took place. So yeah, I mean, Is Pyar Wo Kya Naam Hai was a very important key part of shift of my perspective towards what acting is, or what fame is, or what I want from my life. And it's taken, I mean, all of these years for me to understand, and it's been a spiritual growth also, if I can say that.
Yeah, so when we are talking about these different roles and all, and you have played very nicely in each character, in each role, and currently, if I'm right, or nowadays you are having some mythological character as well, like Lakshman, and how you find, like, what kind of experiences or training you have got priorly, or what kind of you know practice you do priorly, because each role requires a lot of as an actor your own effort, a part of script, a part of producer, director, and all team as an actor. So what kind of things how you do that all?
Right. So, it's a very interesting thing. Except, like, in India, mostly, most of us most of us who've come into television specifically, not other mediums, like not web and film domain, but most of us have not been trained as actors. We are somebody who are interested in the whole aspect of the creative field, and we got into it and we learned on the job. And a lot of people were naturally talented, so they kept going. And the thing about acting is that sometimes it's so subjective in terms of acceptance, that if whatever you do if it is accepted by the people, then you keep doing that. And there's
Right.
like, you look at, like when you look at these examples of really famous actors and you look at their acting, it's not like they're the best actors in the world, but it's just that the way they do it is widely accepted by people. So they keep doing that, and it becomes like a benchmark for them that, "Ah, he's a good actor. I like him," because it's easy on the eye. You can take that person, believe that person saying a particular line. But then there are phenomenal actors who've not got great success, but who have the skill, who have the technique, who have the ability to transform themselves and to do something which transform an emotion and bring it out on the screen, and like make a word, like even when they say a word, it, you feel something, you know. So then there are those actors also. I'm not one of them. I am one of those actors who were not trained, who actually like, happened to become an actor, and through a lot of rejection, through a lot of discouragement, through a lot of personal criticism, came to a point where I believe that I can be credible as portraying a character.
Right.
So, and that's where I am. Like, I still don't have the skill set. I still don't think I can cry at the drop of a hat, or like it takes me a while to understand, a particular emotion. And even when like I look at something that I have done before, like if I look at any of my older work, and I'll be like, I think I could have done this differently now, because my understanding as a human being, as a person, is changing. And so I always feel that I'm always at a loss in terms of that. But having said that, I think I'm a very intuitive performer. I won't call myself an actor, but intuitive performer. Like, I'm so, we have screen tests, we have auditions that we give as actors. I suck
Right.
at them. I'm really bad at them, and I'm always thankful when I do get land a job, because there are people who just like, when people, casting agents, look at certain things and they're like, okay, we want this person because, oh, we like the way he talks. I'm somebody
Right.
who doesn't open up really well, and I don't think I have an interesting personality that people would say, oh, I want exactly this guy. This is what is happening nowadays in film and web, that you just hire the person who is your character.
Yeah.
If I were writing somebody who was exactly like Shashi, and I happened to meet Shashi, I'd say I'd cast her. She's comfortable in front of the camera, and I tell you, don't do anything else, just be you. Just say
Yeah.
these lines the way Shashi would say the lines, and that's how it's
Right.
happening most of the times. Uh, So for me, it's not like that. For me, it's still a lot of work. I put in a lot of work. I have to put in a lot of extra understanding. Like, I have to put my brains into it, that, oh, I have to figure the scene out.
Right.
I have to figure this situation out.
Yeah.
So like, I always feel I'm lucky to have landed a role, because I'm suck at auditions. But when it comes to, standing in front of the camera, something does happen. I believe that I'm in that world, and I become that person, and I'm able to perform and deliver.
Right.
Hope.
So here we are, when we are talking about it, yes, Mr. Akshay, you are absolutely right. And definitely, as it's nice to know about your career progress, how it goes, and your childhood journey. Um, and especially when you're talking about getting up your own way in front of camera, maybe versus a audition thing, because that's
Yeah.
something we every time create something our own unique way to be in media. Some are very good in delivery, some are good in preparation. It's something like that. So I would like to ask another question, that uh, how come being such a sensitive and such an important character like Lakshman you did, and we know it has been in past also, and how would you like to portray such a character, and if you portray such kind of, what kind of changes you are finding from previous Lakshman to this new Lakshman? Is there any, as we were talking earlier about technology, about advancement, do you find,
Yeah.
did we add in something in this new role as well, or how you define it?
So, I tell you one thing. I've said this a lot about when when everybody asked me how was it for you when you started, you had to play Lakshman. Uh, Firstly, like it's such a character. I mean, like any other character in the Ramayana, that is
Right.
set in stone. Yeah, you cannot change anything. Like what is
Right.
written on the page, you have to follow that. Like
And
Lakshman cannot suddenly get into a dance and be somebody you cannot improvise with
right.
characters which are set in stone and people's memories so much.
Right.
So first thing that I think I was meant to play Lakshman, but because I mean, if you look at it, and somebody did point it out to me, how is it that you always play the younger brother of the person whose story it is?
Mm-hmm.
So from the beginning itself, like except my first few shows, like from Is Par Pyar Ko Kya Naam Do onwards, whatever I did, I was always playing the the younger brother of the
Yes.
protagonist.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Yes.
And I hated that fact. I hated that fact that I am playing the protagonist or that's why I sort of shot off into that mold where, from playing the really good guy in Is Pyar Ko Kya Naam Do, I became the negative. Like if it's the negative, I'm gonna do it. Otherwise, I won't do it. And it just
Mm-hmm.
so happened that every time I got a negative, it was always the younger brother of the protagonist. I
Mm-hmm.
was really strange. And then I play the ultimate younger brother of the ultimate protagonist.
Right.
And when I started doing that, and I was thinking to myself, this blows my mind. I've been running away from playing the hero's brother, and here I am playing the penultimate brother to the penultimate hero. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so I've been preparing for this. I've been preparing for this role
Yeah.
all of my career. You
Right.
know,
So,
second,
yes.
second, there was so much. I was so overwhelmed by the fact that what do I do? Like when I read the script and I was looking at it, I said, "There's nothing I can do. It's set in stone. Lakshman is somebody who stands behind Ram, and that's it. Like I
Right.
can't, I can't come forward and be
Mm-hmm.
shining, like shine. My character can't shine by doing something, by creating a nuance, by doing something. I
Mm-hmm.
can't create a nuance for Lakshman. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't create something which becomes a hook thing for a character. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't because there is a certain
Right.
way people perceive all the characters, right? And so I went in thinking I can't do anything. I've like this is it. This is the end of my career. I mean, nobody will take notice of me. But then something happened, and I was reading the script, and I realized one very important thing that Lakshman, whatever his actions were, even if it was anger or possessiveness or love or protectiveness, came
Mm-hmm.
out of love and dedication towards his brother.
Right.
So I've got to do is I've got to just look at that love and forget about everything else. That it was Lakshman, the Lakshman,
Mm-hmm.
that I have to portray or anything. So then I am a person. I am a human being who operates from love towards a certain person.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the help of the lines that have been given to me, like cutting off Shurupnakha's nose when he says कि उससे छुटकारा पाने का और कोई चारा नहीं था मेरे पास, comes from the point कि भैया इतना कुछ कह गई उससे छुटकारा पाने का और कोई चारा नहीं था, मेरे को नाक काटनी पड़ी उसकी. It
Uh,
came from love towards
uh,
Sita and Ram, and that was it.
right.
Then I
That's it.
didn't need any other motivation.
Right.
And so anything like a lot of people have come up to me and they've told me that this Lakshman had a little bit of a naughty streak in him, mischievous streak. That this Lakshman, there was a particular scene. A lot of people have come out and told me that there is a particular scene when Bharat comes in to take them back.
Right.
So Lakshman's character basically is standing at the shore while they're
Uh,
crossing, and he's like
uh,
looking at them very suspiciously and saying, "I'm ready. Like you put up a fight, I'm ready to fight." Like he's ready to fight his own brothers while they're walking, like they're walking parallelly with each other. and
Beautiful.
Lakshman is looking at them with suspicion. Like a lot of people
Uh-huh.
said that it was one of the best moments that were created. And
Mhm.
it was simply solely out of that whole thing of love.
Mhm.
That they want to harm my brother, so they're wrong. And I'm going to protect my brother. So it doesn't matter if they're like,
So it shows like you was totally into character, and you was it was coming out like, yes, I am that, and when I'm into that, you was feeling love, and it was coming. And I think that's the way you personify as this character so beautifully in your as a Lakshman role. I was watching few episodes, and each time when I see, I was observing, oh, that's wonderful. So uh, uh, जैसा आपने बताया कि how you find that, oh, it's in me, and it was keep happening in each time, whatever in my career I did, जितने भी time I was doing this all younger brother role, when it approaches you, you shared that it was like it meant for me, and that you got such a huge feedback and such a huge fan following as well, and people are loving this your character. I think most of time people are really appreciating. I got really, I was seeing a lot of comments, and they were like finding so fascinating. So when you get such kind of feedback, it what way you feel like? क्या आपको लगता है कि you feel like, okay, now I this is my new avatar, and such kind of role am doing, because in the past, which the when Ramayana happened, and we are hearing those people, those actors, they did, and they are finding many times, even they found they were not able to get new roles in their career, क्योंकि वो राम का रोल इतना ज्यादा that came into the impacted the people and the mass media brain, he no he's like God.
yeah. So I don't think,
Because it is sometimes it is good. It gives
yeah.
you a lot of fan following. It gives you a lot of appreciation. It gives you a lot of uh, positive thing. But at the same time, as a career, if you see how you see now, is this all thing?
All right. I'm gonna lay this to rest right now. Like I'll tell you one thing very honestly. Like yes, it's true that I have got a lot of appreciation for the way I did it, but I'm not gonna go as far as saying that this show has been a huge success. It's been received by people sort of a little lukewarm, so to speak. Of like, I mean, people have appreciated, yes, but then we've got big bats also, and I'm not oblivious to that. I'm not oblivious to a lot of people who have their own bitternesses and who have their own agendas, and they've come out against our series, and a lot of people who just couldn't get the old Ramayana out of their system, so they ended up putting down our work. Uh, so I'm not oblivious to the fact that our show has not been entirely successful. So no offers are pouring in. None of this is happening. We are still sitting
Oh,
at home and we're okay. Like we just nobody's really going out in the streets and saying Prabhu Lakshman. Nobody's doing that. What those guys did was iconic because it was the first of its kind.
right.
Back in the day, Ramanan Sagar's Ramayana was the first of its kind.
Yeah,
Was
that's
the
something.
time when television had hardly anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It was the revival of the Indian television. Rajiv Gandhi created these programs so as to get people to watch Doordarshan, and that's what they did. And you watched
Mm-hmm.
it every week. It was an activity that you did, so there is a lot of psychological and a lot of emotional connect that you have with them, and especially during those times when you had nothing else. So people believed that Arun Govil was Ram,
Mm.
that Sunil Lahiri was Lakshman, that Deepika ji was Sita. Like people
Right.
believed that in their heart
Yeah.
because this was the first time. Like imagine, it's a very simple thing and it's a great thing. People today they've talked about our looks in Ramyo,
Mm-hmm.
but what are they comparing the looks with? Because nobody's actually like the representation of the looks only and only trickles down from one person, and that's Raja Ravi Verma. When Raja Ravi Verma made the paintings of gods and goddesses, he gave them certain dresses, he gave them certain crowns, and that has trickled down to what we see as our calendars when we have calendars of, the Ram Mandir and, the all of that. That has trickled down. That went into your costumes for Ramanan Sagar's this thing, because there was no reference. You're talking about the 3000 BC. 3000 BC, I don't know what kind of clothes people wore during that period. I don't know what kind of hairstyles they had, or what kind of beards, if they had beards, or if they didn't have beards, if they shaved, if they had, like Ramanand Sagar's, their side locks were like this. If you remember, everybody had side locks like this, pointy, upturned side locks.
Right.
It can't be like it's somebody's imagination. It's not something that is real. But today, people have set their minds that this is the first thing that they saw. Like Raja Ravi Verma's painting for the first representations of God. That's the first thing that they saw, and it's now become the norm. It's the benchmark. Then they saw Ramanan Sagar. It came to life, and they saw these people, and they saw these people doing acts of, godlyhood and all of that. And now suddenly it's become that this is how gods look like. This is how Ramayan characters look like. This is what they look like. And you can't go away from that. And so now if you're trying to do, like I had shabby hair and I had a beard, everybody kept saying that I've got, like, so this is I've shaved off a certain part of it. But for that, I had not. Like I had hair growing till here and all of that, which one would do if you would go into a forest and live in the forest. You would have and you would have unruly hair. But people thought that it was lockdown look. People started using these terms as lockdown looks and all of that. And you can't fight that, because those are perceptions. You can't fight perceptions. And perceptions are built over a period of time, and everything sort of, so you can't, like, I've honestly lost track of what we were talking about. But I remember.
I'm finding these, when you are correlating this from these looks to the current this COVID look, I think people can also now somewhat, maybe, as I know, we in our past, or in our if we go 20 years back or 30 years back, we created such benchmarks. But I think people started understanding, because of this media exposure. Again, I'm saying a lot of technology uses. So they do understand that these all are like created versions. So I believe, and I agree with the same way as you said, it is not going to definitely impact your career path so much that they will say, okay, this is the Lakshman.
Honestly, I was really hoping that, after this comes out, and I was hoping, unfortunately, there were a lot of circumstances which hindered the success of this particular series. I really hoped, like, that a lot of people saw it, and it did. It would have been talked about with a lot of people, but a lot of things went sort of off, because we shot it in 2018, and 3 years went by, and there's a lot of COVID happened, the pandemic happened, and a lot of things took away from us, and we weren't able to we did our best and we gave our best, and it got what it got, and whatever love we got, I completely accepted. I mean, ideally, I was really hoping that after this my career skyrockets and I get work. But none of that has happened. And, I don't think whether that is going to happen. It's just that back to the slog for us, for all of us. We're just going to keep creating and keep thinking that, okay, it's a good learning. I mean, sometimes, an actor always hopes that their work gets appreciated and gets looked at by a lot of people, so that out of the insecurity of not having another job, hoping that this puts them on the next level to get more work, and you always hope that you're appreciated by your peers. But it's back to the grind, and I take it with a pinch of salt, and I'm like, okay, I mean, theek hai, jo ho gaya so ho gaya. But yeah, no, we are not going to be typecast. None of that is going to happen. Nobody's going to accept Lakshman.
No, I do agree some sort of way, but I really wish and I want to really see that you get your all the progress and all the success in your career line. So, actually, when we are talking all about, I would like to ask that, these days, as we talk about being a man, and it has been portrayed as a person who is full of macho. And when I realize about you, you are macho man, but being a person, being a man, being a father, and as you being a husband who really loved and who found his path through the love, uh, would you like to share with us how come during your growing age, your mother, your wife, who was your girlfriend, or your sister impacted, and how these personalities have rendered you become a great human being?
Um, uh, so I really believe that I believe in s- you know so I follow Tibetan Buddhism. I follow Mahayana Buddhism, and I believe in the teachings of Sakyamuni Buddha, and I believe in certain things that they talk about. Not that I've experienced it, but I do believe because I've seen in my life milestones which have which now when I look back and I said this was supposed to happen. This particular thing was supposed to happen so that this could happen. You know, 10 years back or 20 years back, something happened to me, which is why I'm standing here. Like I can clearly see those milestones in my life. So I for sure know that there is a role of I won't call it destiny, but role of destiny, so to speak of, in a way for any person, any human being's growth. I am anyway, like since childhood, very spiritually inclined. And that could be, I mean, as in Buddhism, they always say that if you are spiritually inclined and if you're inclined towards you have a predisposition towards spirituality, you will, the path of your life will always take you closer to that, where whatever you're inclined. And that's what, when we talk about the secret or when we talk about energies, whatever your energies are, you attract that to your environment. You will encounter those kind of people. You will encounter those kind of philosophies, that those kind of movies, those kind of that kind of music. All of those things will happen. Ever since a child, I've been spiritually inclined, and I've had my own journey of spiritual. Like I've never looked at. So luckily for me, in my household, like that whole thing of a man is a man and a woman is a woman didn't happen as much as it happens in certain households. There was a certain amount, my whole family, like my father's side of the family, women are actually a lot more vocal, and the women of my family a lot, both sides, my mom's side also, and my dad's side of the family. It has been a very vocal, open this thing. Women were not restricted to like a gungat, or were not restricted that women sit here and men sit here. Generally, I saw that around me, outside of my family, but not in
Right.
my family. So we were an open-minded people, and so I never thought, like, except the physical difference between a man and a woman, and the
Right.
physical attributes that make a man lesser or more
Mm-hmm.
physically, as much as a woman is made lesser or more physically. Apart from that, I saw no difference.
Right.
And I've never seen that difference before. What I do see as my life is, and when I messaged you and I told you also that honestly, I do not, initially in my life, I used to think, oh, I'm meant to do great things and I'm meant to, bring about change in society and everything. But I realized that I'm a very selfish person and I have not really contributed anything to help society. There's, like I told you when we exchanged mails, that I'm not a woke person, so to speak of, in terms of I'm not an activist. I don't go out and like I don't as such promote things on Instagram and say, okay, this charity needs this. I don't go out doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm capable of doing that.
Mm.
Although people might say you have the ability, you have an X number of people who are following you, but I don't think I am that kind of an influencer.
Mm.
I believe that I have not yet reached a level of uh, wisdom and self care and that level of happiness, sustainable happiness within my own self, where at least that permeates and that comes out with the environment that I am in.
Mhm.
Because when I see myself interacting with people, I also see a lot of times a lot of disagreements. A lot of times, people, me not being able to handle certain emotions with people, or certain people not being able to handle or disliking what I've said. So I know for a fact that I am not there yet.
Mm.
I must perfect myself in order to help somebody out, or in order to, I must first become a more compassionate human being, to become a
Mhm.
more, at least so that my surroundings, my immediate surroundings become a ground of love and
Right.
happiness. Yeah. And that spreads out, right? When
Yeah.
you are like, when you meet the Dalai Lama, suddenly your
Right.
energy changes. He permeates that kind of happiness, that kind of, any guru who is the who, essence of love and compassion. You would, when you're around such a person, that you suddenly change the environment around.
Mhm.
So for me, I believe there are, I am more, if I'm able to do that, I think that will be my achievement, because I don't think I'm famous enough or I'm popular enough to be able to bring about a change by just one tweet or one, Instagram post saying that, okay, guys, I think we need to help this or help this or help that. But there are a lot of people who do it and they're amazing. I applaud. I'm always amazed at people who bring about a social discussion or a social change, who are doing things out there. I'm an intrinsically lazy person like that. I'm more of an inward person. I'd much
Mhm.
rather go, you know, uh, make myself better so that my surroundings get better. And when my surroundings get better, those four people, those five people, those six people will be better human beings, and they will spread it out. Make my son
Right.
a better human being. Like I
Right.
always tell him, whenever he gets into a fight with somebody, he's five now. And whenever he gets into a fight with somebody, I always tell him that you always remember this, that they're coming from a place where they wanted to be happy.
Mhm.
It's just that their idea of happiness was not your idea of happiness, and that's why they did this wrong to you.
Right.
So they're lost in that way. But
Mhm.
you don't hate them for that. You wish them well, but just stay away from that ugly incident.
Mhm.
You've got to have more compassion towards other people, and you've got to move
Yeah.
towards, not hate people, not dislike them. When you start doing that, when you start living your life like that, that's the kind of change I'd much rather have, rather than like, I don't know. I mean, education is important. Feeding people who are hungry is very, very important. Of course, I mean, if you can't survive, then there's
Mhm.
nothing else. But I also believe the biggest challenge that all of us are facing is mental health, and the fact
Right.
is because we are so drowning in self-indulgence that we have forgotten what true happiness is. And when we start work on that, on its own things will change, and on its own this whole thing of, that there will be a fluidity towards being a man or being a
Mhm.
human. you know i
Yeah.
always I always believe that, I'm more of a human first, and of course physically I'm a man, but like I'm always
Yes.
like that.
Right. So as you said, in a very deep sense, and I think that's a kind of sense we all need to get create in our life, because once we feel like as a human, so in that same way, that's something we are trying to create here, right? And that's what we are all trying to talk and discuss about. So what would you like to say? I know you don't want to give any kind of message, or you feel like, no, I need to do, but still, since you have a lot of people, a lot of young generation follow you, uh, so these upcoming generation of males, upcoming youngsters, who want to see themselves as a man and want to do something in their lives, what kind of message or would you like to convey to them, uh, how they can develop such kind of sense that first let's learn to be a human and then trying to create as you was explaining in your life.
In fact, I was just thinking in my head, I wish I had a quote right now. I wish I had prepared a quote and I would have given you a nice quote. But like, I love what you just said, that, learn to be a human first, learn to, learn to be compassionate, compassionate in the sense that, learn to be more, involving and accepting of others and not take things too personally. The biggest thing that has happened to all of us, especially in the past 10, 15 years, is that all of us take everything personally. We literally take things personally. Like an ex person, some 200 kilometers away, would have said something on social media, and I will look at it on my phone in my bathroom and I will take it personally. ये ऐसे कैसे बोल सकता है? मैं FIR दर्ज करवाऊंगा इसके against. And that is what is happening nowadays. Everybody's just taking things too personally, and there is no requirement for it. I mean, what we as a society, I mean, people talk about a lot about the Hindu culture and how we need to get back to the Hindu culture. They don't realize how open, how accepting, how forthcoming we were as a society 300, 400 years back. It's just the whole colonialization and the Victorialization and the Anglicization of the whole thing has, they brought in morality, social morality, so to speak of, and it becomes so self-indulgent and so selfish about our own selves that this is personally affecting me, and we stopped saying it's okay. I mean, if you remember, like back in the 80s or early 90s, everything would be okay. Somebody said something, we'd be like, oh, it's okay, it's all right. It's not like we were just tolerant because we didn't take it seriously. There is no need. People, we know that certain times people are not wise enough to say a certain thing. So wasteful words or wasteful thoughts just pour out. That doesn't mean it's true. But Buddha had there was a story about the Buddha that there was a family of a Brahmin who basically whose whole family. So this Brahmin was a Brahmin who did pujas for other people. So that's how he made his living, and he would do rituals and pujas and havans and all of that. But slowly, people around him in his vicinity who used to render his services started following the Buddha, because Buddha just gave you to know yourself and you will know everything. And so slowly his family also started following him, and he was sort of out of work and he was angry and he was saying that he's taken away my supremacy. I was the most important person in this village, and now I'm not. Even my family is gone, and become made him their guru and everything. So he was livid, he was mad, he was like he wanted to kill Buddha. So he picked up an axe and he said, "Today I will kill him." And Buddha was sitting and meditating under the tree. And he came running in from the entrance and he's shouting abuses, hurling abuses at Buddha. And he's saying, I will kill you, I will do this, and I will do this. And he's hurling him with an axe and all of that. And Buddha's just sitting calmly. And he reaches there and you took away everything from me and I will kill you for it. You're a fraud, you're a this, you're a that. It's like, I'm about to kill you. Do you have any last words? And so Buddha said that, yes, I have one question for you. So he's like, what? And so Buddha asked him that when somebody comes to your house and he's bringing a gift with them, and but you don't want that gift, would you take it or would you tell them to take it back with them? What kind of a stupid question is that? I will of course tell them to take it back. I don't want that question. So he said, similarly, your words and your anger are a gift that I do not wish to receive. So you can take it with you. It's like, what? I said, but I'm going to kill you. I said, but I don't wish to take that gift from you. I said, how are you so calm? He said, come sit down, I'll teach you how to be calm. So I feel like there's a very simple thing, like it's tolerance, because Buddha didn't take it personally. All that agitation, all that bitterness, all that anger is because there is a personal attack that we feel. That man became that Brahmin did become his follower, his disciple, and he ended up like realizing what true happiness means and what true realization means and true renunciation means. And there are many examples like that, many stories like that, and it is what we must incorporate within our own selves too. So learn to be human first. I'm plagiarizing you. And learn
I
to be
think it
human
is
first.
your philosophy or your principle which you are applying in your life, and maybe when you was explaining or you was talking about your life, I took from your life.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just like plagiarize from each other, which is great. So I think we should have both our Learn to be Human First by Dr. Shashi and Akshay Rudra.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And I think in the end, we structure, it was really nice. You shared how one has to, learn to be first human, and then they have to learn to be further different roles, what they are supposed to play in society, and how they can be, once you are human, that there is no difference between men and women, or all different genders, even whatever things you want to follow, whatever things you want to do, because you develop that sense of as a man, as a human, sorry. And I think such a strong message you are giving to our society, to our young generation, to our I will say the whole community, because we tend we are I think some sort of way we forgot that we started categorizing ourselves in a lot of different silos, and we try to associate with those, and then we try to, and that's the reason a lot of these crimes, a lot of these differences, a lot of these mishappenings which are not supposed to happen is happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we end up having these kind of awareness shows where we need people such like you who speaks by their heart. So it was really nice that actually you spoke out, you shared your wisdom, vision, and all what you feel about. So thank you so much. And in the end, I just would like to say that I wish you get all the very best fruits in your career, and I would like to see that all your dreams come true, your all ambitions being fulfilled in your coming years. So thank you very much, Akshay, and thanks to all our viewers who give us this moment to be connected and to be heard with you all. So thank you, Akshay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And honestly, I mean, I really hope for whatever you're doing with this initiative that it reaches out to as many people as possible. That whatever your endeavors are, that they're always successful, and may more and more people benefit from this, and may more and more people alleviate their lives through whatever they can learn from this. So all the very best to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And once again, I wish you all the very best. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye. And
Bye.
thanks to all our viewers who are listening and watching us. As you heard, our today's as a personified personality, Akshay Dogra, who create meaning in his life by saying that I want to be a first human, and then I'm behaving like as a man and father and many roles he's playing in his life. So as I want you to carry the same way in your life, some sort of meaningful life and purpose to give a proper meaning what it means being a man. With this note, thank you. Take care. See you soon in the next episode. Bye-bye.